Welcome to Rooted and Rising Healing. I'm your host, Hali Roderick, and this space is for women rebuilding after betrayal. Here, we make sense of what happened, find truth again, and reconnect with who you really are beyond the pain. Whether you're staying, leaving, or still in the middle, your story matters. Together, we'll explore truth, clarity, and the quiet courage it takes to rise from the wreckage of what was into the wholeness of who you're becoming. You're safe to be here. In the messy middle, in the rebuilding, and in the rising. Let's begin. Thanks for being here. And before we get started today, I wanted to let you know about two upcoming events that I genuinely believe could be incredibly supportive if you're navigating betrayal right now. The first is the Betrayal Healing Conference happening January 26th through the 30th. This is a virtual conference, which means you can attend from anywhere at your own pace and hear many of the top voices in the betrayal trauma space. It's an opportunity to learn, feel validated, and remember that you're not alone in this journey. You'll find the link in my show notes, and I want to be transparent that it is an affiliate link, which simply means that if you choose to register through this link, you'll also be supporting the work I do here on the podcast at no additional cost to you. The second event, I want to share something really special. The first ever in-person AppSats conference happening February 4th through the 6th in Dallas, Texas. There are 2 full days specifically designed for betrayed partners, where you'll get to connect face-to-face with many of the leading professionals in betrayal trauma recovery. I'll be there as well, and I would truly love to meet you in person. If either of these events feels like the next right step for you, check the links in the show notes. You deserve support that truly understands what you've been through. Now, let's jump into today's episode. One of the most painful parts about betrayal isn't just losing trust in your partner, it's about losing the trust in yourself. If this has been part of your experience, then today's episode is for you. You might have wondered, how did I not see it? How did I miss things? Can I even trust my own intuition? Is my inner compass even working? What if I'm wrong again? And so I want to just reassure you that self-doubt after betrayal is not a personality flaw. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's the result of emotional abuse. It's the result of being lied to, about deception, about gaslighting. And those things disrupt self-trust. And that makes sense. So betrayal isn't always just an affair or secret behavior. It comes with denial. It comes with minimization, blame shifting, with partial truths. It comes with being told you're the problem, that you're overreacting, that if you would just change. And when the person that you trusted your life with contradicts your reality, contradicts what you thought was true, your body and your nervous system faces an impossible choice. Either believe what you feel or believe the person you thought you could depend on with everything. And oftentimes what happens, because humans are wired for attachment, is your system can choose connection over instinct. And that's not because we're weak, but it's because that's how humans survive emotional threat, is connection. So I want to just reassure you that your inner voice didn't fade on its own. It was drowned out by the deception. And knowing that can empower you to know that you also can heal. In a sense, your nervous system with all of this became more cautious about listening. And this wasn't about self-betrayal. This was about protection from further emotional harm. So this erosion of self-trust can look like maybe second guessing everything, maybe wondering if you even know what's real. Sometimes you can start to wonder if there is something wrong with you, if you're starting to go crazy. It can show up like needing additional reassurance. You might find yourself over researching in that police mode or in that detective mode, just searching for anything that can confirm your reality. It can show up in overthinking, intrusive thoughts. You might find yourself feeling frozen or in a sort of a functional freeze. You might be asking yourself, okay, is this trauma or is there something wrong with me? And this isn't Again, evidence that there's something wrong with you. It's what happens when your reality was made unsafe. Let's talk about what self-trust really is. Self-trust isn't actually complete certainty. It isn't always full confidence. It isn't about decisiveness. Yes, we can grow into those things, but we can start rebuilding self-trust by staying connected to yourself, which can be hard to do. But we're going to talk about more ways to do that. It can be honoring what you feel, which is going to require you to slow down and actually pay attention to what you're feeling. Pay attention to the physiological responses you're having. Maybe finding yourself an emotion wheel or a feelings wheel where you can put some language to what it is that you're feeling. I know that sounds like such a simple thing, but that was so powerful for me. Not having a lot of emotional language, even prior to betrayal, I didn't really even know how to define what I was feeling. So, really learning how to identify and articulate what I was feeling in my body and my emotions and my feelings was an important part of that. And when you can start to do that, you will start to recognize more fully your inner knowing, your inner compass, and what it's telling you. And so I don't want this to feel like pressure, okay? I want you to think about clarity coming over time. You don't actually need all the answers to start trusting yourself. You just need to commit to yourself that you're going to be loyal to you, that you're going to say no even if you change your mind later. That means you're going to do things even if you're not sure if it's the right thing. You're going to take small steps in the direction of what feels right in the moment. Okay. So remember that when your environment stays unsafe or when you're in a relationship where there's continued re traumatization, continued lying, deception, gaslighting, blame shifting, all of that, it's not uncommon for your inner voice to stay quiet, which is why boundaries are such an important part of this. Boundaries can help you create emotional space, maybe physical space if you need it. Boundaries can help you start to get some nervous system regulation where you have that space. You can then ground into your own nervous system and not be playing off of theirs or being impacted by someone else's nervous system. Boundaries can reduce the noise. Sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in what everybody outside of you is telling you. This can be coming from your partner who might be trying to manipulate you or to get you to not trust yourself, to believe into their manipulations and their lies. But it can also come from having too many outside voices, too many friends or family members or even professionals that you're listening to and looking for answers to. We need to reduce that noise and really tune in because nobody gets to tell you what the right thing to do is. Nobody. Not your mom, not your best friend, not your sister, not your therapist, not your coach. Only you get to learn to read your inner compass and trust it again and allow that to be the thing that you listen to. So, we've talked a lot about boundaries in previous episodes, but just a reminder, they're not punishments. They create the conditions for you to step into clarity. So, I want to talk about three things that you can do to start to rebuild your self-trust. The first one is honoring what you know today. I like to think about this and frame this in a sort of a present day reality check. This means not necessarily listening to words that are being said by somebody else, but really watching behaviors. Are behaviors matching up with words? If they're not, we trust the behavior more than the words. You don't have to know what the future holds. You only need to know what feels right and what feels true right now. As you're building this muscle again of self-trust and strengthening this, you only have to know the one right next step, just what's next. And it doesn't have to be big. And you have a right to trust your intuition until proven otherwise. So if something feels like you need to have a boundary, you need to say no, or that something that someone is saying isn't true, you get to believe that. You get to trust that until proven otherwise. And that's not gaslighting yourself. That's not, causing more question. That is trusting yourself to tune into your inner knowing right now and letting it play out. If what you believed in that moment wasn't true, that's okay. You actually trusted the inner signals that your body was giving you until you could let it play out a little further. So, what do you know and what do you see today, right here, right now, in this moment? Okay, that would be one of the first things to start with. I've even had people who, when there's been such intense manipulation and gaslighting, they use a tablet or a journal to record everything that was happening for a period of time. They record things that were said, they record things that were done, so that if down the road they start to question themselves or their partner's continuing to manipulate or gaslight, they can go back to what they wrote in that moment or right after that interaction and they can go, okay, that's actually not true. This is what happened. I wrote this in the moment right after, and this is what happened. You can use that as a form of reflecting back to those moments just to reinforce what you know in the here and the now. So, the second step that I would encourage you to think about is practice small steps of self loyalty. Emphasis on the small. Okay. I don't want this to be one more thing that you think I'm trying to encourage you to do to add to your list of self care. No, I'm talking about just listening. If you need to rest, can you rest when you're tired? If something inside of you cringes when somebody invites you to do something or is presenting something to you and your inner gut is saying no, can you just say no? Even if the other person doesn't like it, even if it inconveniences somebody, can you trust yourself to start to leave unsafe conversations when they're happening? That is really hard to do when you're breaking out of that pattern of unhealthy communication. But the more you do it and the more you remove yourself from those manipulative conversations, the more trust you build with yourself. There's an acronym, you'll probably hear me talk about it a lot. I've probably talked about it already. It's called JADE, JADE. And it stands for you don't need to justify, argue, defend, or explain why you're doing something. As long as you feel aligned in your value system and that you're doing something to honor yourself and your inner knowing, you don't have to justify, argue, defend, or explain it to anybody else. And it's okay if they have feelings about it. It's okay if they have emotions around it. So, this is just a little self check. Do you find yourself getting pulled into trying to convince the other person to see things your way? Trying to convince the other person or your spouse to understand? Do you need to justify why you did a certain thing because you feel like you need them to listen? Do you need to defend why you made a choice? If you find yourself jading, I call it jading, just notice that and start to step out of that pattern. That will be a huge way to start building self-loyalty. I know that can feel a little like unsatisfying because you might go, well, if I don't do that, he'll never get it. Well, guess what? He's not getting it now. We have to break out of that cycle of constantly us trying to convince them, us making sure that they see things or know things or understand things, and move into a place of self protection until they willingly start to want to understand more. And I'm not saying that this is a form of manipulation, I'm saying it's a form of self protection. And every time you can initiate some form of self protection, self loyalty, honoring your intuition, your body learns that you're listening now. And that builds that self trust. So, the next thing, this third step, the third thing that I would encourage you to do is regulate before you decide. Because fear is really loud. I don't know if you've noticed that, but fear is really loud. And intuition is steady. So, it's different. They feel different. If you are feeling urgency or fear or like, I need to take action right now, I have to make a decision right now, that might not be your inner intuition. I'm not saying that we can't have urgent warnings. I think we can. And maybe we need to act on them right in that moment. Like if I'm thinking of like an analogy with the grizzly bear, if there's literally a grizzly bear, if there's literally emotional abuse happening right now, we need to get out right away. then move into that place of self-protection and regulate so that you can move into discernment, which is quiet, it's grounded, it invites curiosity. So if you need to, listen to the urgency right away, but then move into a place of regulation. Boundaries paired with regulation will start to help you feel all the difference in the world with the self-trust. You'll hear me talk a lot about this and about body regulation and somatic healing and tuning into your inner intuition. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it is it's because those mindfulness tools and those strategies were something that I really resisted early on in my own healing because I didn't need to slow down. I needed things to change. That was my mindset. And it took me a long time to get on board with the idea that I needed to focus on what I had control of. I couldn't control what everybody else was doing. I could only control what I was doing. And in my state of constant dysregulation, I wasn't able to even hear what my next right step was. And so, even though it was really, really hard for me at first to start implementing mindfulness and meditation and getting out of my head and into my body, it has been one of the things that has been most impactful in my own healing, which is why I talk about it so much. And the first thing that I started doing when I decided to give it a try was a guided meditation. And I'll tell you, it was so hard. I have a mind that is kind of like a monkey mind and it gets distracted easily and it has a hard time focusing. And that was amplified after the betrayal. Actually, not sure how much of it was there before the betrayal, but it was definitely there after betrayal. And so my therapist kept trying to encourage me to start doing some mindfulness and some somatic work and tuning into my body. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. And so I started with a guided meditation, just short guided meditation. And I'm not going to tell you that it was easy, it wasn't. But I had learned that with consistent, they say 8 weeks of consistent mindfulness activities, meditation, tuning out of your head and into your body, you can actually shrink the amygdala in your brain. And your amygdala is the fear center, which is that part of your brain that's going, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? It's that hypervigilant state. And I wanted to do anything I could to get out of that state. And so I decided to try it. And after about 3 weeks of consistently doing it, maybe not every day, but probably 4 days, 5 days out of the week, I started to go, okay, I can see why my therapist keeps wanting me to do this. So, what I'd like to do at the end of this episode today is I'd like to guide you in a short guided meditation around building self-trust. And a couple things about meditation that I want you to just think about is meditation is not about necessarily quieting your mind. Maybe the Buddhist monks get there. I don't know. I haven't been able to get there yet. But I look at meditation as a tuning in to my inner self, as a connection with my breath, a connection with my body. And when my mind wanders, because it does and it will, then I just gently notice it and just go, oh, there's my mind wandering again. And I'm going to bring it back to my breath and back to the voice that I'm listening to in my ear. So I think of it more like going to the gym for your brain, training your brain to be able to focus where you want to focus it, when you want it to focus there. And you think about how that can impact you in real life is when you're in a dysregulated state or you're in a difficult conversation and your brain feels like it's bouncing everywhere and you can't hold on to your thoughts and you thought you knew what you were going to say, but then you lost it as soon as you started into the conversation. Those types of interactions is where this brain training or this mindfulness, these mindfulness activities really start to make a difference. And so this is something, mindfulness, meditation is something that needs to just be part of your everyday self-care routine, in my opinion. It's something I do every day if I can. It really is just that reconnecting to my breath, reconnecting to myself. And so I'm going to lead you in a short guided meditation. And I want you to just have all the grace and compassion for your mind if it wanders. Just notice it and then just gently bring your focus back to my voice, back to your breath, back to what your body's telling you. Okay, so if you are in a place where it feels safe, then you can close your eyes. If you happen to be driving or doing something else, just maybe soften your gaze or just bring your focus to my voice and to your breath. If you can, place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, and taking a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Hold it just for a second at the top. And on the exhale, let out a longer, slow breath on the exhale. Couple more deep breaths in through your nose. Long, deep exhale. Just bringing your awareness to your breath, either in your chest rising, the air coming in through your nostrils, your belly rising, wherever your body awareness goes to first. Just bring your focus there. Let your body know that right now you don't need to decide anything. There's no future that needs to be determined. Just notice the weight of your body, the chair beneath your bottom, the ground beneath your feet. Just notice the support beneath you. And now gently ask yourself, what do I notice inside right now? With just pure curiosity, no fixing, no judging, just noticing. Imagine a quiet, steady place inside of you, your inner compass. Find this at your center. You might connect with it at your solar plexus or at your heart center. Wherever your attention is drawn, just notice this inner compass. It doesn't argue. It doesn't rush. It simply knows. Ask it gently, what is one small truth that I can honor today? Maybe that truth is that I need rest. Maybe it's I need space. Maybe I need more time. Maybe I need support. Whatever comes is enough, and it's just right. Take another deep breath in through your nose. Long, deep exhale. Reminding yourself that in this betrayal, my truth did not disappear. It was just silenced. And now it's learning to speak again. I'm learning to tune in again. I'm learning to trust myself again. And when you're ready, you can bring your awareness back to the space where you're in and just notice if there's been a little shift or anything. I hope that you were able to follow along with that. Maybe return to it or find another meditation resource where you can just start to get still and tune into your body on a regular basis. I want to just remind you that you didn't lose your wisdom. It was interrupted by deception, and it can be restored through safety, through self-loyalty, and through boundaries. You again can root yourself in truth and rise again as the empowered, highest version of yourself that you know you can be. Betrayal doesn't have to destroy you. It can help you rebuild, and you can step into a version of yourself that you love. And I appreciate you allowing me to be a small part on that journey. I would love to connect with you more, so check the show notes for more ways to stay connected with me. And I hope you'll be here with me again next week. Okay, ladies, this message is just for you. I want to share 2 upcoming in-person healing experiences I'm really excited about that are created specifically for betrayed partners who are looking for deeper support, clarity, and connection. The first one is the Courage to Thrive Betrayal Trauma Intensive happening March 17th through the 20th in Spanish Fork, Utah. This is a structured, immersive intensive designed to help you understand betrayal trauma, what's happening in your body, regulate your nervous system, and begin rebuilding your sense of safety, strength, and self-trust. I'll be there helping to facilitate this experience, and I would truly love the chance to meet you and support you in person. The second is the first ever Rise, Renew, Restore retreat in Costa Rica. It's taking place July 13th through the 18th. And this one is a more spacious, restorative retreat for betrayed partners who are ready to just slow down, reconnect with their bodies, and heal in a deeply nurturing environment surrounded by nature and trauma-informed care. I'm so excited to also be helping to facilitate this retreat and would love to connect with you there. Both of these experiences are led by myself and some of my favorite colleagues who deeply understand betrayal trauma. And just to remind you that you don't have to walk this journey alone. You can find all the details and the registration links in the show notes, and I really hope to see you in person at one of these events. Thank you for being here with me inside Rooted and Rising Healing. Remember, healing isn't a destination, it's a returning to your truth, to your voice, to the woman you were always meant to be. You have the power to rise at your own pace, in your own way. And when it feels hard, just come back to your breath and remind yourself, still I rise. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love if you shared it with another sister on the journey. And until next time, stay rooted, stay rising. You've got this.